There we are.
Hey, yes.
Woo! Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Welcome, everybody, to our third installment. Is that right?
Margo, I'm going to get you to wait just a second because YouTube is lagging. So give it. So that's interesting. Now.
That's all right. Knock out the. Is it in?
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, there we are.
Welcome, YouTube. Welcome, Facebookers. Thank you. Come for our next installment of Eyes of Indigo. As we have announced on Facebook and a few other places, tonight we're doing something a little bit different. Both Iris and I are very proficient mediums and intuitives, and we do these services for other people professionally. And so we decided we would showcase that skill set a little bit. People seem to love it, and it's a lot of fun. Hi, Angie. And so the thread for tonight is for viewers to write questions in the comments that you would like an intuitive answer from Iris tonight. And and then I'll do it, and then I'll lead the charge next week. But tonight is Iris's card, and a little bit about Iris, her background relative to this stuff. Actually, the most accurate way to do that is to let Iris explain it, and perhaps start us off with a story of a reading incident that struck you as remarkable or amazing. And let us get started there. So, Iris.
I want to mention, Margo, you might end up having to put your earphones on. And I should have mentioned that earlier because I can hear the feedback from your. It sounds like Ferris Bueller when he had the machine that coughs. Every time I talk, it's like,
No worries. I can do that too. Good information. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I've had things happen throughout my life, and the main, I guess, different things would happen, and like I remember, I had a really vivid dream when I hadn't been married that long, and I was asleep where I thought I was. We were going to bed.
Right.
And it was like all of a sudden I just sat straight up in bed after this dream and just was like, ah! And my husband kind of jumped and goes, "What's your problem?" And I said, "I just had the weirdest dream." And he goes, "You haven't been asleep that long." It was at that, what I call the twilight of going to sleep. And that's when I would get a lot of visions and stuff. And this particular one, we lived out of town in the eastern part of the state. And we'd have to drive a 2-lane highway to come from Greenville to Greensboro. And there was a little town called Farmville that we had to drive through. And the little town was one stoplight town. And people would just speed through there on the weekends, And I was going through keeping, and the light turned and I was right there. So I just kept going. And this land yacht pulled out in front of me. And just as I was getting ready to hit it, that's when I woke up. And so my husband said, "Well, don't worry. I'll be sure that I'm driving when we go and it'll be fine." Well, that was like on Monday. On Friday, we get in the car and some things had happened and we ended up, and I was driving. And I start getting into Farmville and I was like, "Oh, crap." And he said, "What?" And I said, "That dream." And he said, "Well, then just slow down." And so I did. I was going really, really slow. And when I went through the light, here was that huge car that I had seen in my dream, and it pulled right out in front of me, but I was going slow enough that I missed it. And so I've always, yeah, it was really kind of cool. And I've had a couple other things like that happen, but then had other visions, and in probably the last 10 or 15 years, I've trained more and learned more about how to access readings when I want to, not just
Right.
wait on them to come to me. And
Right.
so that's been a really big adventure. And I should mention, yeah, we've got quite a few people here. I had this morning, I was thinking about the show tonight and getting ready for it and all that stuff. And I had this vision of an older man come to me. And it was like,
Yeah.
and at first I thought, am I, is this imaginary? No, it was definite. He wanted me to mention him. So if this rings a bell with anybody, let me know. Um, but he's older and he's tall and distinguished looking. He reminds me of the type of guy. He has this stature about him that he could have just stepped right out of a soap opera or something. He's very distinguished looking, and he's got grayish silver hair, about kind of like mine, a little bit salt and peppery. And it was funny because I was making mental notes about his looks, and he would not leave me until I wrote it down this morning so I wouldn't forget. And I was like, I'm getting ready for work. And it's like, that's okay. I just make sure you get it written down. And I said, okay, nice hair. And he goes, good hair. It's good hair. He wanted to accentuate the fact that he had good hair. And not that he was being egotistical or vain, but just that he was appreciative and he knew he had been gifted with good looks and was very appreciative of that. Margo drops out sometimes because of the internet connection near her. It goes wonky. So when she does
I'll
that,
kick
she'll
back
come back
in
in a
when
minute.
the system lets me
Um,
do it. But
and a lot of times you can still hear her.
Corey, I'm still here.
But anyway, this guy, he's tall. He was wearing a white shirt, sleeves rolled up, had his hands in his pockets, and he just said he was thankful he was from good genes. So I'm mentioning him because if he rings a bell with anybody, let me know, and we may can connect with him if that's something that somebody's interested in. Okay,
Very
so
cool. It
then
looks like you've got a couple of questions right off the bat here.
wait a minute. Oh,
Am I back yet?
I'm looking for you, Margo, and you're not. Oh, there you are.
Here we go.
There you
There we
go.
go. There
Oh,
you go.
your
Thank
sound's
you.
down.
Yeah.
I can't hear you.
Uh-oh. My sound. I'm I'm clicking buttons. My muted my mute is on. It's on.
Microphone.
It's on.
If you need to unplug your headset.
Let me that.
Can you hear me now?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Am I
And there's
doing
that
feedback?
fair. Yeah, there's that
Still got
Ferris
feedback?
Bueller thing again.
So let me try again.
How about now? Can you hear me now? No?
Mm-mm. Very, very, very low. Ah, lost her again. Sorry, guys. We're trying to get the technical issues straightened out, but you can't control the internet that's operated by some big place. So again, um, type questions. I see the one about impressions of Amy Coney Barrett, and honestly, I don't know who that is, and I feel like I should know, but I don't. Um, so I guess that's my impression. I don't know who it is. Um,
There
do
we
you know
go.
who it is, Marco?
Which one?
Amy
I
Coney
I do.
Barrett.
I do. She is the Supreme Court justice that Trump
Oh, that woman.
nominated,
Okay, name didn't ring a bell.
and she in the news she adopted two children from Haiti, and that might be a catalyst to do a lot of expose about the children of Haiti and the travesties that have happened there without going into a lot of detail. But
Yeah.
obviously that would be down the line because she's not in office yet. Trump nominated her. But have you seen a picture of her or anything?
Yeah. Just
Okay. Tune in.
yeah.
That's one way to tune in. Tune in the way you want to. Hi, Janine.
All right. Let me.
And yeah, Edie said new Supreme Court Justice nominee. Yep. Hi, Angie. Hi, Edie.
Her name just hadn't registered with me. I did see her the other day on the news.
Is nothing really coming through about it?
Just looking at her, I'm looking at a variety of pictures.
Yeah.
I think it depends. I think she's, what's the word I'm looking for? She's very much a person that tunes into the moment that she's in. So when she's wearing her
very
judging,
present.
Yeah, but also transitional. It's like when she's in her judge's robes, she's very serious and she's doing her job. But then personal pictures are kind of like
everyday Jane.
Nah, there's good and bad there. There's good and bad. I would.
That's interesting.
I think she would be a hard person to get to know. And I think she hides things very well. I don't know that means that reflects on her character.
Well, when you're a judge and an attorney, you on a national scale, you learn to hide your private life. Yeah.
Yeah. But I keep hearing she's sincere.
Yeah.
I mean, I think she's sincere. I just think she's complicated and
okay.
Because people will misread that.
Ruth Ginsburg,
or it will
Bader
get
Ginsburg. I'm sorry, Ruth. She was a complicated person too.
But less so. She became like that icon that people they made her personal.
They personified her. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was like, even if they didn't know her, they felt like they knew her. And this woman, and think about who's the other justice, the female justice that's I'm trying to say Sonoma, and that's not it. That's Sonoma. Who's the other Supreme? No, the woman.
Oh, honestly, I don't know the Supreme names. I really don't know.
Yeah, I think it's Sotomayor. Something like that. If I'm
what about
run through it, people. You never hear anything about her.
That would be dry. Yeah.
So Sotomayor. Yeah, Sotomayor. Whatever you said, Edie. Edie.
Edie,
I don't have my glasses on. But yeah, and this woman, I think Amy's got a lot of good things I think that she can bring to the court, but I think she's also at risk for being torn apart.
It depends on how much is below the surface, but yeah. She's in a dicey situation at the moment, isn't she?
Yeah.
socially,
Yeah. I mean, look what they did to Brett. What's his face? I mean, Brett,
Kavanaugh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kavanaugh.
What
Right.
a circus. Yeah. So.
All right.
But
Do you think
honestly, I think.
Do you
Well, I
think
was
she'll
going to
do all
say,
right?
one of the things I really get a feeling about is things are changing so much anyway that it really doesn't matter who they put in there, as long as it's not Satan himself. Doesn't matter who they put in the judge. That's going to change. That's
That whole
the whole
system's
face
got
of
to
that is,
change. Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
And so, as long as the person's relatively decent and a decent head on their shoulders, and they're not, Alzheimer's or whatever, then we're good.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. So tell us another story about when you've done like remote viewing or an interesting anecdote of past reading.
Let's see. Um, one of my favorites is when my sister lives on the other side of the country. And hey Angela, my sister lives on the other side of the country in Washington State. And she had a dog. I went to visit her, and she had a dog a couple years ago. And she said he's got this horrible cough, and we're worried about him. Do you think he's getting ready to die or whatever? And I did a reading on the dog, and I said, no, he's got at least a year, maybe two. Well, he did die a year later. And then I told her that I said, he doesn't have like a disease or a tumor. I said, but it's something with his trachea. There, my sister's there. Yes. Hey, Deborah. Um, so, so I'm telling your stories. uh, but anyway, I said, there's something with his trachea, or something's putting pressure on it. And she took the dog to the vet, and the vet said he's got an enlarged heart and it's pressing against his trachea, and that's what's making him cough. And so I was like, yes. And then the other thing that I told her was, I said, did you ever go on a hike? Because she and her family go to different trails and stuff. Did you ever go on a hike that had these big white square granite type stones along the path? And she goes, oh, I know exactly where you're talking about. And I said, and they kind of went up, and the dog kept getting up on the stones. And she said, yeah, how'd you know that? And I said, he loved it. That's what he liked it, because he could get even with you on an even level and felt like he was just as tall as you are. So so that was kind of, that, I guess that was interesting, because it was such a clear reading of an animal, and to have that verification through my sister.
Absolutely. Have somebody you trust give you that feedback.
Yeah.
So your sister wants you to tell them about the hike.
That was it. I think she's watching through
stones?
YouTube, and there's a slight delay on YouTube.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right. That's cool. Good.
Yeah.
We're covering it intuitively.
Yeah.
Hi, Angela. We've got an Angie and an Angela here. This is cool.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting for my camera to kick back in if it's kind of jumped off, but that's okay. You guys can still hear me. Bring us your intuitive questions.
Yes, tell us.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, sometimes people want to know what do you see? How do you do what you do? Like it's like some sort of radio signal that comes in. And for me, it depends. It's almost like a daydream, where like when you're imagining something in your head, like somebody will tell you a story, and you're kind of seeing that story in your head. And it's that kind of thing, but the signal's different. I know that I'm not coming up with it.
Right.
That it's coming through a higher power. And when I do my readings, and like before this started, I like to ground myself, which means feet flat on the floor, feel the energy come up into my feet and up my body, and then yeah, there you are.
Yeah.
And go all the way up, and like I activate my chakras and make sure they're all, spinning
Yeah.
or doing their
Yeah.
thing. And then I connect with the creator of all that is, or you can call it spirit or God or whatever. And I say, okay, I want to do a reading, or I'm connecting with this person, or I want to connect with that person, or like with animals, I want to connect to their higher selves. And like for my sister, it was really cute. And sometimes I think they give me visions of what I would like that would entertain me, as opposed to, what do they really look like? But her dog was like a little small black, and he was turning gray, sort of like a terrier mix type dog.
Yeah.
And the higher self that I saw of him was a short Italian guy with a mustache. And it was that fits my dog's personality so well.
Yes, they do. They do. They do that. They come back smoking cigars and all kinds of cool stuff. You just
Yeah.
never know.
Right. My dog is a white rat terrier, jumpy terrier. What's the Jack Russell?
Jack Russell. Yeah.
Yeah. And her higher self is this beautiful blonde woman with the long flowing gown. She like stands in the breeze and lets her flow. And I'm like,
Right.
yeah, okay, that's cool. Yeah.
Let it waft.
But yeah, and I'll see when I make that connection, like whatever I need, Creator brings forth. And then I can kind of come back from that connection, and I'm still connected, but I'm getting help from whoever Creator sees that I need help from,
Right.
and present that. But it's like a daydream kind of thing, or when you imagine something. But again, I know the difference. And then sometimes when I'm with somebody and say another entity or person or whatever is there, it's almost like a overlay. It's like I'll see the world as it is.
Yeah.
And having whatever else is there. So it's there, but it's not tangible like the real world is, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Okay.
Is it sort of like transparent kind of? Absolutely.
Not always.
Not always.
Always. Not always.
Kind of a third eye thing. But we've got some more comments coming out here, so let's shift gears. Linda Thomas says hello. Hi, Linda. And Deborah says, if someone asks you for a reading, have you ever had the information delivered to you that you felt you should not pass on?
No.
I have.
Have you?
Oh yeah. We'll talk about that next week.
Yeah.
But that's good. No, that's good. You haven't.
I don't have a challenge with that. Sometimes I'll say, do you really want me to tell this person that? Because like it's really awkward when I'm at work and a client comes in and I'm working with that person and I get this.
Your camera's
okay. Oh no, here's an even better one. I was teaching an adult classroom. Okay.
Let her go.
And they were on a break. They took a break. And it was only about a half a dozen men. It was a English class for people who were getting their heating and air conditioning certificates.
Hey, Iris, I think your camera's doing something funky. It's like it's zoomed. It's like hyper zoomed in and out of focus.
Okay, there is not.
Now that's assuming that it's just me. It's does Iris look normal to you guys, or is there something funky going on? Oh, now they're both
you're
doing
out
it
again.
I'm out again, and I'm coming. Yep, I'm coming back in. And I'm back, but all right, so can you guys use the
Am I normal again?
message over here and tell us, no, you're not. Can you guys let us know if you can see Iris normally or not?
Normal on Facebook.
Yep, either on Facebook or on YouTube.
And I closed my YouTube, so I can't see for sure. But yeah,
that's all right.
So I'm okay. Thank you guys on YouTube. She's fine.
She looks fine. All right, so it's my connection that's being weird.
Yeah. Okay. Good. And
good.
It's my energy. But anyway,
right.
And I saw another question come through, but I'll finish this story real quick. So while the guys were on break, I'm sitting in the front of the class and I'm getting ready for the next thing that we're going to be discussing. And I was sitting there writing some notes and looking through the book and that sort of thing. And I saw a dog come running in and went straight to his desk. And I looked and I was like, am I really seeing this dog? And the dog looked at me. And I kind of went, hello. And the dog's going, he's here. He's here. I found him. I'm so excited. He's here. And I said, and he's on break. He'll be back in a minute. And the dog ran to the door and ran back to his chair. Did that like 2 or 3 times. And when the guy came in, the dog just ran to the guy and was just following him on his heels all the way. And the guy sat down at his desk and I'm watching this dog sitting there. Yeah. And I'm like, that's cute. and it's like, tell him. And I actually had some other guide or something going, tell him. And I'm like, you want me to tell this guy that his dog is here?
There's a dead dog beside you.
Yeah. And it was like, oh, what the hell? And so I said, and I tried to find ways to break it easy. And I just said, y'all got any dogs at home? And he's going, well, yeah, we got a German Shepherd and let me ask another way. Have you ever had, and I described this dog, the size and the color and all that.
Keep going.
And he kept thinking, and I said, you were about 10 years old, and you were the only thing the dog liked. Nobody else got along with the dog. Oh, I remember that dog. Yes. He said, that dog hated everybody but me. Well, she's found you, and she's very excited, and she's here. And the guy was like, looking around, and I said, look, it's something I do, and I'm being told that I'm supposed to tell you. And he's like, okay. And I said, all right, let me put it this way. If you hear in the middle of the night tip-tapping on your linoleum floors in the kitchen, it's because your dog's running around in there. Your dead one, not your live one. Anyway, okay. We left it at that, and I didn't go any further with it. But sometimes,
diplomacy.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times the messages that come through, there have been times where I've been surprised and told a client something.
Yeah.
And it was exactly what they needed to hear. So I don't second guess it. If I get a message for somebody, I go ahead and tell them, and I try to be tactful and put it in a way, and I ask for those words. Okay, you want me to tell them this? How do you want me to tell them?
Yeah.
Tell me the words to use, and I'll get changes sometimes in how to tell the messages. And sometimes it's not, that's what they need to hear. And okay, cool, here it is. But and I'll say, this is, and I really don't believe that a legitimate message would be sent to anybody that they didn't need to hear. If it's coming through, and that's another reason why I go through Creator. I don't just trust anybody that walks up to me. to say, hey, pass on this message. Oh yeah, who are you? Let me go ask Creator and see if that's okay. And if it is,
All right.
then I'll go ahead with it.
That's the filter you use.
Yeah.
Right.
And if it's not, then it's go away. yeah, exactly. So what else we got?
All right. So guys, feel free to throw us some questions over there in the chat and see what Iris, you can add. Let me throw you some ideas. You can ask Iris just about anything. You can ask about your future. You can ask about past lives. One person asked us about a political person, the judge nominee that Trump instigated. You can ask him some stuff about Trump. You can ask about your pets. You can ask about pets from your childhood. You can ask about people from your childhood. You can ask about your angels and your guides and what are they trying to say around you. So feel free to throw us a few questions in the messenger for doing that. And sometimes, Iris, sometimes you can see the messenger before I can.
Yeah, I'm just seeing.
I think
Tara, Linda wants to.
Linda did ask. Oh, would love to learn any vibes for me, my future.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So tune into Miss Linda.
Really? Okay. So, Linda, you're a hard one to read.
I agree.
She's like, she wants to know, but she doesn't want to know. And because it's like, tell me, oh God, I hope it's good. Do I really want to hear this? And so it's bringing up blocks. But what I can tell you is that there's nothing to fear. Your future, and this is going to sound so cliche, but it's what I'm being told. Your future is what you want it to be. And it's there for you. It's just time for you to let go of the past in order to move into the future. You're holding on to something, and you know what it is, and you know it's something you should let go of. And I'm hearing it's remorse. There's remorse for something. And I will say that when you have regrets and fear of rejection.
Linda's confirming what you're saying. Keep going.
Okay. Yeah, fear of rejection or rejection, regrets, those kinds of things will hold you back. And so work through it. And this is big. Forgive yourself. Forgive yourself. Nobody else gives a shit. Whatever it was, nobody else cares. They're done. They're over it. You've got to forgive yourself. And let go of that. What's done is done. And there was a lesson learned out of it, and you take that lesson and you just ride it on into the future. But you don't have to keep hammering down on that, because that's what's holding you back. I think that's pretty much what I'm getting.
That pretty much what comes out. Sense. Thank you. So Janine, it does, and I'm sure Linda can run with that. Janine has, such as clairvoyance or clairaudience. Is there one way that you prefer, or that seems to come through more clearly? Is there a way? There is one of your skill sets.
I would say the clairvoyance comes through the best and the easiest.
So third eye, seeing.
Yeah. In other words, I see things and the pictures come to me, and
So when you say
and
see things, are you talking about seeing them in your mind's eye, or do you also actually see things ethereally or literally, or what? Or all of the above?
yeah. Most of the time, I would say about 80% of the time, it's in my mind's eye.
Okay.
But sometimes I will see things really.
Yeah. Like when you
And
remote view.
yeah, and I can tell you a wild and funky story. And this one I find hysterical, and probably a lot of people won't believe it, but I was dreaming, and I was aware I was, and I wasn't aware of the dream until right when I woke up. That moment I woke up, that I knew I really hadn't been dreaming. I had been astral traveling, and I had gone back in time to like the Black Forest. I was studying fairies and stuff then, and I wanted to know more information.
Yeah.
And I found this old druid,
Yeah.
very tall in the hood and all that stuff. And something woke me up here. And when I woke up, I was aware I had been speaking another language. I had been talking to this druid, and it was like slam. I was back in my bed again, and I kind of opened my eyes, and the druid was standing right there in my room.
Woo.
I could see him, and he was like, imagine ancient, what the fuck? and
Just as shocked as you.
I drug him. What I did was, because I came back so quick, I drug him with me.
Took him with you. Yeah.
And I didn't mean to. And I just looked, and I was so tired. And I looked at him, and I went, just go back. And I laid my head back down and went right back to sleep. And the guy was like, he disappeared. But yeah, true story. I swear to God.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that one with us.
Yeah.
All right. Denise has a question. She says, do you have any messages from Spirit for her? For Denise.
Denise.
And her last name is Adegia. I think I'm saying her name right. Denise E.
Denise, were you on when I asked you about the man? When I asked about the man earlier, I know some people have come. There was a guy that came to see me this morning that wanted me to mention him, and he's an older man, mature, dark pants, white shirt, sleeves rolled up. He had his hands in his pockets, very distinguished looking. And when I told him he had nice hair, he said, "Good hair. I have good hair." But he wasn't vain. He was just thankful that he had good genes, and was aware. So does that ring a bell with you, Denise? Yes. That's the message for you. Who was it?
Iris, I kind of get sort of like a Kennedy look, or a Dean Martin kind of look.
More Kennedy.
More the JFK Kennedy kind of, crisp white shirt and pompadour hair.
Yes.
But now their hair is gray. So Denise, you got a yes. And Iris is asking you, can you say a name, Denise, or type a name?
And so I'm bad about getting names. I don't always get good names. It's a
names
short
are
name,
hard.
though.
Yeah, names are hard to get. She said she's not entirely sure who it is,
but it rings a bell with you.
Yeah.
So, and okay. So let me see if I can find out what the heck he wants. I don't know that he's got really any message. He just wanted to. My brother wasn't that at all. Okay. This is.
She said, is Robert a possibility? Does Robert resonate?
It's possible. Did he get by Bob? Yeah.
She had the answer. There's a delay on
Bob
answering.
or Rob?
You got more of a Bob feel than a Robert.
Yeah, I got more of a Bob than a Robert or a Rob. And he was an older relative. He's appearing to me younger than he was when he died.
Okay, I think you're describing my dad. I've kept my mouth shut. I don't know, but I think you're describing my dad. Everything you've said the more you talk, the more I'm seeing it. But that's how my dad looked in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. He didn't look anything like that in the 90s, 2000s, and by the time he died. So
But
it might be a Denise thing. I hate to interrupt. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no.
But my grandfather's name was Robert, and he went by Bob, and him and his son both went by Bob. My uncle, not my dad.
Bob's your uncle.
Yeah, Bob is literally my uncle. All right, British people, get back in here. So the Robert thing, I think Denise is tuned in somehow because my grandfather was Robert, my dad, and my grandfather and my father looked a lot alike, and they both dressed like that. I mean, that's a classic look for the ages. Men still dress.
Yeah. This guy had more chiseled features.
I have to show you a picture of my dad sometime.
Yeah. But I'm trying to, and I
There's
just wondered if he was connected to Denise.
There's not a way to share that on this one at the moment. Yeah.
No, not unless you
have
hold it up.
Right. No, I don't have anything to hold up. That's all on the computer, like everybody else. We'll have to feel into that one. See what this Robert Bob JFK looking guy.
Let me see what the connection is to Denise, or if there's anything else coming through. It was interesting because when I saw her question, I thought he's attached to her. It might be. I'm honestly.
You know what? Denise mentioned something. When you say tall, do you mean somebody who's taller than you, or are you talking about somebody who clears 6 feet?
Somebody who would clear 6 feet.
Okay.
And I'm getting the impression that it's more for Denise. I think there is a similarity to yours, but I'm getting that it's more for Denise.
Yeah, because my family now, they were all under 6 feet.
Yeah. And this might have been a grandfather or an uncle. I'm getting more of an uncle feeling.
So you're getting a relative feel. Okay, cool.
Yeah, definitely a relative. And he knew that we were doing the reading and that somebody that he knows is going to be here, and wanted to see if that person remembered him. He checks in on the family. I'm getting this is Denise's. He checks in on the family.
Yeah, keep going.
Yeah, he checks in. He follows to see what's going on, and he wants to make sure the good genes keep coming down the line. Yeah, he's got a great sense of humor.
Good.
Yeah, I mean, it's good feels, but it's just he's watching and observing and enjoying seeing the family grow. I know that might not be as direct as what Denise was expecting, but Denise, if there's another question that comes from that, or you can give me any more identification, I'll dig a little harder.
To see what comes up.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I don't know if this is the same question, but your sister said, Deborah, have you ever been asked a question for someone and not been able to tap into the answer at all? Have you ever not heard anything? or felt anything?
So far, no. When I think it's a block, like a minute ago, I think it was Linda.
Sure.
I'm going to start getting confused who it was, but it was like, no, it was her blocks that were keeping me from, and so a lot of times I'll go to get a reading and it's like, boom, there, and it's like bumping into a box, and I know it's not meant as a blank slate for me. It's a block, a barrier that this person is putting up. And it's like, so then I start asking questions. So what is it about this that has you fearful? Or you can start kind of digging around that way. And once I get past a few things, I can usually get the answer. Yeah. So
Very good. Very good. So Linda's asking another question about if one of us is somebody she met on a Sunday that asked her about her hat that she was wearing, but that was in Little River, South Carolina, which is near me. I don't think you've been to Little River on a Sunday recently, have you?
no.
I haven't. I had the comment about the hat. I don't remember saying that to anybody, and I haven't been to Little River. I've driven through it to get to Myrtle Beach, but I haven't stopped and talked to anybody in Little River in a couple of years. So sorry, Linda, that's not us. Hopefully that person will come back around. Apparently somebody was a little bit tuned into you there, walking through, and that's really cool.
Yeah.
So
It sounds almost like they were a little jealous or something. Why would you wear a hat to call attention to yourself? That sounds a little snarky.
it just depends on how it's delivered. Yeah, it just depends.
Yeah.
But so we're the time has gotten up to 10:17. So I was thinking we would keep this about 30, 40 minutes. Iris, is there anything else that the universe wants you to share with people?
Oh,
Yeah, that's a big one. That's a hard one to ask. But what's coming through just right off the top? Nothing heavy.
yeah, no.
What do they want us to know as a people?
Love each other.
Yeah.
Love each other. That's the big, and we've talked in other shows about it, but the the quips and the self-defense and that sort of thing have got to stop.
Yeah.
We got to get past that.
The snarkiness and the
and
sarcasm.
and calling names, and oh, they like this, oh, they like that, these people, those people. If you're pointing fingers and saying anything like that, it's not good for the planet. It's not good for humanity.
So
And it's
cut
just,
back on the separationist comments, huh?
yeah, and it's just time to
Yeah.
to recognize our own personal shortcomings that make us lash out at others.
That's good. That's good.
Quit blaming everybody else. If you're taking care of you, the rest will work out.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. That's very good. Thank you.
Sure.
Oops.
Thank you.
We got one more person that jumped in at the bottom. Hi, Lee. I'm glad you're here, sweet pea. Does Jack Crandall have anything for us? Jack Crandall is a relative of hers. And he was a neat guy. But does Jack Crandall, see if you can tune into Jack for just a second. And give it a minute. Thank you, Dale. Thank you, Jeannie. Aloha.
We surprised Jack. He was busy doing something. He was teaching a class or doing. Did he like gardening?
I never met the person himself, but I've heard Lee talk about him quite a lot on her Facebook. So I know something there. But Lee would have to answer that question.
He's working with some other people, and he was doing something, but
the great outdoors, yeah, that's part of what he does. Yes.
Yes, and it's kind of like he heard his name being called. He popped and he's like, it's good to hear from old friends.
Oh,
Just he's happy. He's working hard and loving it. And
cool.
yeah, that's what I'm
Cool.
getting.
Good. Sounds like Jack is content.
Yes.
Sounds like he still has some great outdoors with him out there.
But what I keep seeing like, and I don't know if this is him or not, but I keep seeing like taking off glasses and wiping them off, like somebody who's sweating and working outside, taking off glasses and wiping them off, and just talking, and he's like, just
Is that a gesture that Jack would do?
and he
And she
and he's
might
very,
answer.
he kind of has this hearty laugh.
Oh.
And he's just like, yeah, it's good to hear from everybody. And, I'm out here working hard, though, and I need to get back to it. These other people are waiting, but yeah. So that's what I got.
That's sweet. That's sweet. Wonderful. Wonderful.
So,
Excellent.
I appreciate everybody that tuned in for this.
Absolutely. Everyone, thank you for tuning in. If you're interested in talking Iris more, her website is
iriscarter.com.
iriscarter.com. And you can see more of what she offers. She offers a whole lot more than just readings. Could you tell us real quick some of the services you offer?
I've done everything from, like house blessings and saging and things like that to readings. I treated a couple of people with what they thought was demonic possessions. I've done paranormal investigations and figuring things out and what's what. And general guidance and life lessons, working through all that kind of thing. So, yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. So a little bit of spiritual life coaching as well.
Yes.
And you've got stories to tell about clearing people's houses.
Yeah.
Wow. So we'll save that for another episode, but that'll be cool.
Yeah.
So Lee says thank you, and Denise is saying thank you, and Janine has said thank you too. Thank you, Miss Iris, for sharing your gift with us.
Oh,
that was
so
really,
glad.
really awesome. And
we're
next
in
week,
for a great week next week. It's gonna be crazy.
Next week, you guys need to hit me up just as well. And I'm really good at yes/no questions. If you want to ask something very, very private, you can always ask it as a yes/no question. And I can, sometimes I can even expound on that. But just food for thought, be thinking about it. Again, Iris, thank you for going out into the ethers for us and sharing this good stuff. Edie says thank you as well. Angie does too. So
awesome.
Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Namaste. Namaste.